Hello and welcome to The Good, The Bad and The What The Fox Volume 1 for the one and only Samuel L. Jackson. Right, now Adam Sandler was meant to be the next one if you're watching these in any kind of series, and I've only just done Coneheads and we're just moving house and stuff like that. Samuel L. Jackson has probably been in the most films, and someone I've realised he has appeared in quite a few Good, The Bad, The What The Fox already, but not as an actor. He's done so much. A guy who is a method to fuck, can deliver lines so good, distinct voice, and just again such a late bloomer in his career. You know what I mean? I mean, Samuel Jackson was peaking about in the 80s, and then obviously by the time Pulp Fiction hits, boom, he's just a fucking household name. Now the first one, Deep Blue Sea, because I'm wallpapering, so it's gonna go in a second. Deep Blue Sea. Roland Emmerich's film. No, it's not. It's a fucking Renniehausen film. That's the one. Deep Blue Sea. It's got so much. Again, I've just finished playing Man Eater downstairs, and Deep Blue Sea. It doesn't get enough credit for what it is. Now the CGI hasn't aged brilliantly, but the animatronics they made for that film are just fucking amazing. They are real, like remote control sharks. Now, when it comes to Good, The Bad, The What The Fox, you can say this film is a what the fuck movie. When it comes to Samuel L. Jackson, for the main reason, it's a proper shock value. Now, if you haven't seen Deep Blue Sea yet, what? I went to pictures to see it, and obviously Samuel L. Jackson's name is tagged on that. I mean, Thomas Jane. Fucking getting on there. Thomas Jane's been up and down throughout his career. The Lass has not really been seen much since. There's a couple of the guy who plays in 4 as well. He's in that as well. Anyway, Samuel Jackson obviously gets killed after a massive speech. Boom. Now, one of the funniest things about Deep Blue Sea, if you listen to the comedy, Samuel Jackson joins the director until Samuel Jackson's dead, and Samuel Jackson gets up and goes off, and the guy's like, "Where the fuck you going?" He's like, "Well, I'm dead now, there's no point me going on." It's quite funny commentary. Samuel Jackson's a massive golf fanatic and likes to travel around. This guy doesn't seem to stop, like literally. Samuel Jackson this, Samuel Jackson that. He pops up in movies, he appears in movies. Now we're talking about Deep Blue Sea, and the idea of doing a shark movie nearly 20 years after Jaws, it was quite good. It's a good story. You know, LL Cool J is in this as well, but it's a good story on the case of like, right, what happens if sharks got smarter? What happens if, you know, it's a bit of a Frankenstein story. The submergence as well, and the impending doom of sharks working out. It's terrifying. Again, Samuel Jackson's death, so it does go to the what the fuck for that. Again, nearly, 10, 15 years later, Deep Blue Sea 2 was a massive hit, even though it's terrible. Deep Blue Sea 3's come out quite quickly. So the cash cow, Deep Blue Sea. But looking back at the podcast for it, it's got a nice score to it. Michael Rappaport's in there as well. It just hasn't aged very well. You know, it's what you get. You know, you're going to see a shark movie, and again, I think it delivers that well. I mean, you got the director of Die Hard 2 here and the director of Cliffhanger, so you know what I mean. He's a great director. I think just some of the CGI, and especially the iconic scene of Thomas Jane looking shocked and the shark turning around and being fucking massive, and you think, what the fuck? That scene's not even in the movie. But there is some striking and fucking craziness about it. The shark's going backwards. The shark's being intelligent. Again, it's just fucking. I don't know, it's a really good movie. But when it comes to Samuel L. Jackson, it is definitely a what the fuck movie. So welcome to The Good, The Bad and The What the Fox movie. This one will be kind of, I've got a few Samuel Jacksons in my head, so while I wallpaper, I'm going to reminisce over Samuel Jackson movies, because I watched Sphere last night and Loaded Weapon 1, so there'll be 2 of the next ones. So, right, see you in the next one. Okay, the next entry into The Good, The Bad and The What the Fox for Mr. Samuel L. Jackson is Loaded Weapon 1. You want to talk about a film that came along. Now, National Lampoon's Animal House, The Vacations, Loaded Weapon 1, and then they just started to dip until they did in Van Wilder. Talked about this recently with National Lampoon's Last Resort, also known as Scuba School, starring the 2 Corys. How they were on a downward slope. Now, this one just seemed to chuck cash everybody. The cameos in this is fucking mental. How many films has Bruce Willis and Samuel Jackson been in? That's one of them. Loads. Millie Westervers, even the joke with John Lovitz, so isn't it strange how you're doing this and your brother's doing hot shots? And it's fucking brilliant. There's so many gags now. I was watching Lethal Weapons I'm up to Lethal Weapon 3, and then to watch this again, it just parodies the fuck. And the era where spoofs were done properly good. Well done, Stephen. But Samuel Jackson as Luger in this is brilliant. Emilio Estevez in this is brilliant. There's so many cameos, from Corey Feldman to Bruce Willis to Tim Curry to William Shatner to Dennis Leary. I mean, you just need to look in the back. Howard the Duck VHS is lying on the roof. There's so many people you get, Phil Hartman, John Lovitz, There's so many cameos. And when you go, what the fuck, this is a what the fuck, it's a brilliant film. A lot of people haven't seen this. I mean, me and Britt watched it last night. Britt was laughing her head off, and she's a massive fan of the Lethal Weapon series. But yeah, Samuel Jackson at this point was sort of unheard of. Like, again, Pulp Fiction hadn't dropped. Pulp Fiction was the one that really put Samuel Jackson on the map. But he had been working on and off. I mean, I'm not going to put Delirious or Raw, whichever one it is. I believe it's Raw. When Samuel Jackson is at the start of the movie, before Eddie Murphy hits the stage. So Samuel Jackson was around. He used to hang out at a lot of the Chinese theatres and watch a lot of imported movies at the time. He's a massive fan of samurais and stuff like that, and used to go on loads of auditions. And he will be just watching films like Coming to America, and he'll pop up on that. Coming to America will have to be in this one as well. But again, he was there. And for someone, again, though, if you look at it, you know, you don't know when you're going to break Hollywood, if you ever do, but never give up. You know, and Samuel Jackson's a perfect example of that. Samuel Jackson's never looked young, but he certainly comes along, and he's like, you know what I mean, he's broke in his late, what, I would say 30s, going into his 40s, and, you know, the guy doesn't seem to age that great, you know what I mean? So, Loaded Weapon 1, if you've never seen it, check it out. It is absolutely packed full of spoofs, well done stuff. Proctor from Police Academy is in it. Again, it's just filled out really well. Great jokes, great spoofs, and definitely check out Loaded Weapon. Remember, it's called Loaded Weapon 1. Entry number 3 into the good, the bad, and the what the fucks of Samuel Jackson. Just talked about it. It is Coming to America. Now, I didn't have this in the Eddie Murphy one. That hasn't found a home yet. But Coming to America, one of my favourite films as a kid. Always talk about this, how my granddad used to love it. And then when I bought him the VHS and realised that the TV version was absolutely dubbed and there was not one F-bomb in it, he was like, "What have you done to this film?" I'm like, "Oh." Especially when Samuel Jackson turns up, rocking the shotgun, robbing McDowell's. The movie's amazing. And again, Eddie Murphy, if you look at the movie as well, Come Good Jr.'s in there. Come Good and Jr. would team up with Eddie Murphy years later, but Coming to America really gave like the black community a lot of actors like breakout roles, even though Eddie Murphy takes over a lot of the roles. And what a movie, scores really well. It's coming out in 4K very soon. There's a few weird steelbooks. The original artwork, which was intended for Crocodile Dundee 2, is getting lost. It's got like this bleeding flag now. Coming to America 2, I think the trailer meant to drop last week. I totally forgot about it, but it's coming straight on Amazon Prime. It'd be amazing if Samuel Jackson popped up in that, but who knows with Samuel Jackson. He's not a paycheck. I mean, I was listening to him last night on Sphere, and he's very methodical, and especially about how he preps for a movie. And his agent says, read that book, and like, he read the book, enjoyed it, then a year later the film happened, so he's still wanting to do it. It's that kind of thing. But for that, you know, don't fuck with him. Fucking Coming to America as one of the all-time best movies. So that's number 3, and that's definitely a good fucking movie. That's the one. Next up for Samuel Jackson's The Good, the Bad, and the What the Fucks is Sphere. Now, I remember Sphere, I can never fucking say the word. I've done a review random for this. I remember it being quite a big hype. Now, Samuel Jackson was in Jurassic Park, and Samuel Jackson was looking forward to working on another Michael Crichton book. Sophia Congo was coming along at this time. Anything he had wrote was pretty much getting picked up and turned into a movie. Now, Samuel Jackson, there was another actor, I forget his name, was going to play the Harry character, but unfortunately didn't do it. A year had passed, Dustin Hoffman came on board. Now, Dustin Hoffman wasn't exactly in on this movie, and I don't think he's been anything less, because this is the green screen, blue screen era. Hoffman's a more Shakespearean actor. He likes to get in there, do one-take deals. But Samuel Jackson was buzzing to actually work with Dustin Hoffman on this, because Samuel Jackson had been a massive fan of him. Especially when you're off camera and you're acting, you had goosebumps, and it's pretty cool. Samuel Jackson in the commentaries is when he fucks off in Deep Blue Sea. Very grounded, quite funny, very, very, got a creepy little laugh, which you don't really see in movies, and he's got a sinister smile that he doesn't like, and you see that in this. Now, the movie I always felt, I remember one of my friends at school had went to see it and were like, oh, it was crap, and I was like, alright. And I went to see it, and like, even looking back at it, I love the score. And it feels like there's bits missing in this movie, and it's the whole like premise. I mean, there's a lot chopped and changed. Samuel Jackson talks about the comedy, how he always thought it was going to be silver, that it was gold, and then what do you react to? Again, going back to Dustin Hoffman reacting to nothing, he wasn't used to it. And then there was a lot of underwater training, stuff like that. Samuel Jackson was also, took the job because he'd also go and play golf. He loves traveling the world, getting a movie, and go and play golf. It's notoriously known that Kurt Russell left the cast of Django Unchained because he didn't want to wait around for weeks and weeks and weeks, because Tarantino just does what Tarantino wants. Samuel Jackson was just like, hey, I just gotta hang out and play golf. And Kurt Russell asked Samuel Jackson how long he'd been there, and he said about 3 or 4 weeks. Kurt Russell was like, fuck that, and went off. I think he went off to do Fast and Furious. But going back to the movie, Dustin Hoffman, Leroy Schreider, Sharon Stone, Coyote, I'm going to say his name wrong, Peter Coyote, Queen Latifah. There's not that many people in it. I think there's about 6 people in total if you want to keep out the pilot. And again, that era of Deep Blue Sea was around the same time. And, the whole I'm Harry, I'm not Harry. Samuel Jackson would sleep a lot on this set. He talks about it, because he'd be lying down, he's meant to be asleep, and a lot of times he would just nap, wouldn't bother go back to his trailer, doing his whole rigorous eye movement in his head. It's one of those ones where, Samuel Jackson's like, we die down here. And you watch it and you go, right, and it's a whole like, oh, did it happen, did it not happen? Is that another delivery driver? I've had 3 posts this morning. John Mnemonic's come, and so is Stormtrooper. But you watch it and you're like, and it comes up the surface. And if you check out my review, I'll go on a bit more, but like, you always feel like the octopus, you think, oh, I think it'd be a fucking octopus. If they did it now, there'd be a massive fucking octopus attacking, even though it's all in Jerry or Harry's head, I don't know. Leroy Schreider, I always remember when he got killed as like a thing in his fake hand and all that, but that hasn't, it's not as bad as I remember. But a thing about Sphere, I'm going to rant this again, but like, it was originally green, and then it came out in blue DVD, and it's a blue, the artwork, and it's doing the whole Event Horizon. I remember, like there's certain films, like the other night, just in the house getting used to it, had a few beers, went to bed, watched Sphere, because I know what I'm watching. Don't really know much of the end, but I've seen the start so many times. I mean, it's got like a really good score, but it's a what the fuck, because it is the whole manifesting the whole time. I don't think it's executed half as good as Congo was, even though Congo has been a lost art. Congo was hard to get a hold of on DVD. And Jurassic Park and Michael Crichton. I think, Dustin Hoffman, he's a pro, but does he struggle? I mean, Leroy Schreider, still the unknown. He was just like the framed killer in Scream at this point. He was really breaking out, and look at him now for Ray Donovan. So I'm going to put Sphere in, like, I'm going to relate to it. It's not a really good film. It's on the bad film era, I think. I just think there's something broken in it that I don't know if it's like the fact that it keeps coming up the surface, like it's in chapters, or 10,000 Leagues Under the Sea, it's a lot of reference in that, and the thing is now, it's like if you didn't read that is definitely due for a remake and stuff like that. So yeah, this is entry number 4. I've got one bit of wallpaper on this one. I'm going to try and do this all in one day. So we've had Deep Blue Sea, Loaded Weapon 1, Coming to America, and this one, which is Sphere. Right, see you in the next one. Right, you want to talk about Samuel Jackson, little early roles, Goodfellas. Be meant if Samuel Jackson signed up with the rest of them. That hasn't found a home. That was actually up in the wall in the room, and then went down. Right, Goodfellas, one of the all-time classic films. I was told, you can see the pajamas on this, Thundercats. One of the all-time great gangster movies. I often talked about this. What's worse, Joe Pesci's death in Goodfellas, or Joe Pesci's death in fucking Casino? Goodfellas just flows so easy. One of the I've never felt coolness when I watched the audio commentary and the commentary of Henry, the real Henry, talking about the guy in the back of the trunk. I say, fuck it now. He's done his time, he's got his pardon or whatever. So he's sitting there telling the real stories and like how grim and real Goodfellas is, but the soundtrack, the score. And is this Samuel Jackson called Stax? Samuel Jackson has a very minor role and it pops up. And then when they have the big heist going into the last part of the movie, he pops up in there and fucking has a horrible death, like blows in the back of the head. I mean, Samuel Jackson's death is more brutal than Joe Pesci's. I just don't really first see Goodfellas. You don't expect Joe Pesci to die that way, but Samuel Jackson, again, he's doing the whole, like feeding out bottom nights, all stoned and all that. He handles it well. So when you talk about Goodfellas, it's an amazing movie. The score's amazing. The way it's narrated, the way it rolls around the room, and like he's narrating and people are reacting to the camera. It's just really well thought of storytelling, execution, performances. Are just absolutely. I mean, Joe Pesci, man. I mean, Robert De Niro as well, but like Joe Pesci. I mean, Ray Liotta. It's weird how Ray Liotta hasn't really popped up in any other ones, but it's just amazing. Absolutely amazing. Very short though. So that's Deep Blue Sea. That's Loaded Weapon 1, Sphere, Captain America, and Goodfellas. I can do 10. I'm not going to revisit Lakeview Terrace, because that has had a review run random before. I'll watch that. I mean, I will revisit that because that was a fucking hell of a film. But yeah, next one. Next one for Mr. Samuel L. Jackson will be 51st State. Now, you want to talk about like Samuel L. Jackson, he's done Pulp Fiction, and it's been a while since I've seen Pulp Fiction. So again, I'm only doing films I've seen recently. Check out the channel if you don't believe us. 51st State has had a review quite recently. You can look at it and go, right, okay, it's just been resurfaced by 101 Films, and it's also called Formula 51 in America. And it's just mint. I mean, again, Samuel Jackson's got his stamp on it. Here you go. He's a mad, crazy golfer. He's a real good stoner. And he basically rocking the dreadlocks in a kilt. And it's like, what the fuck? And again, at the time, Robert Carlyle was just shit hot. Sean Purdy's in this. There's a lot of the who's who of British cast from the 90s in this. And it's all about the guy. He basically comes across the pond, rocking this like bag of Skittles. And he's basically created the perfect drug. And you watch it. And like, if you watch it, it's just brilliant. Because of what it is. Unfortunately, I don't think 101's doing an amazing job of preserving it. But because again, I don't think it even has a menu screen. I think it just starts on Blu-ray. But they work so well. Carlyle and Jackson work brilliantly. It's just got so much fun and gags in it. Ray Fiennes is the baddie in it as well, which is good. It's the hybrid. It's that, because again, if you look back, Britain films had some big hits, but Trainspotting came along, and I think that was a real game changer. Shallow Hal and ID, these are films that Britain put out there that the world started taking notice of. And it's that era of video, when video was that popular, that videos would come out all over the place. Once Were Warriors was made around the same time, and it got exposure. So he didn't really get. When Steven Spielberg made Hook, he came in and they brought as many actors over from in America as possible, These big productions were coming to England, and Aliens would come over, and they wouldn't really, the actors of Britain would sort of struggle to get across the pond, to get notoriety in America. And I think Trainspotting was one that really it became a worldwide sensation. And this came along after, where it took the style of Ronnie Yu directed it as well. So you take that Hong Kong style, and then you take the American influence of Samuel L. Jackson coming across, because everyone's going to know who Samuel Jackson is. It's got a lot of money from America, especially out of Samuel L. Jackson's own pocket. You bring in the British, and you take the best of the Britain, and you just go fucking nuts with it, and that's what fucking works about this movie. And I think it universally, it covers the world. It's not a cult, much as a cult film as it should be, but it is. It's amazing to rewatch, and you laugh at it. It's got some great timing. I watched another film recently, again a film I love called Blue Juice, that was made about the same time. These films have got this great British humour that's almost been lost, but it was great to see an American kind of hybrid into the action, into the jokes and stuff like that. So yeah, brilliant film I think, and it's great to see Samuel Jackson, not just an actor. You know, at this point he's made his money, he's basically, you know, he's in the Tarantino clique, he's in a lot of different cliques, but you know, just an awesome fucking movie. Camera's flashing red, so I've done well. We're up to 6 already. Should have done one for each length of wallpaper, but yeah, see you in the next one. The next one is True Romance. Okay, True Romance is the next one, the Samuel Jackson. I'm getting along there. It's a what the fuck movie. So obviously True Romance 1993, Samuel Jackson gets his name above Michael Rappaport. Like Samuel L. Jackson, he's hardly in the fucking movie. He's in the hotel shootout with Drexel, Gary Oldman's character. And it's, you know what I mean, he's got this massive coat on, he's cold, he's got his little old fisherman's hat on, big sunglasses. Hardly in the fucking movie. Not in a warrant having his name above people like Michael Rappaport. It's fucking crazy. So it's a what the fuck movie. But again, this opens the door because True Romance was written as the open road and divided into True Romance and Natural Born Killers, Quentin Tarantino's work. And so Quentin Tarantino would have seen Samuel Jackson. Quentin Tarantino knows who everyone is. But again, this opens the doorway for Pulp Fiction. But yeah, just sitting there thinking, I've been wallpapering and what other ones I've seen. And like obviously I'm not going to try and cop out and go Avengers and try to work out which one he pops into. But for now, like 187, like an amazing movie, and the only way I'm going to find that is by digging it out in VHS, but we'll get there. But when it comes to True Romance and it comes to Samuel Jackson, it's a what the fuck movie because of his name checking at the front. Again, Michael Rappaport has a massive role in it and he's hardly in the fucking movie. When it comes to Samuel Jackson getting shot by Drexel, he has a bag of cocaine. So yeah, I need to crack on. Not much left, but worst wall ever. But yeah, see you in the next bit. Hello and welcome to the next entry in the Samuel Jackson, the good, the bad and the what the fucks. Hence the hat he's wearing in the movie. Samuel Jackson Steals the Show. This is directed by Rennie Howland, who also did Deep Blue Sea, Long Kiss Goodnight. I always remember the VHS. I think I've got the big box VHS, and just Gina Davis having the longest leg ever. So I stuck this on last night. It just started, and honest to God, like that was the box. Literally, that was the box. Like how small it was. It has been released on Blu-ray. It normally comes with a blue cover on Blu-ray. So it'll be interesting to see if they've actually widened it because it didn't look great. But Samuel Jackson's amazing in this. Gina Davis is great in it as well. The whole, you know, like basically she's like got an amnesia and it's 8 years later and she doesn't know what her life is. She's got a kid, doesn't know who the father was. Samuel Jackson plays a private detective who basically is out to like sort of like track down anything. And he's a little bit of a dodgy, takes a bit of a backhander here and there. And they both get caught up in it when they realise that Charlie, her alter ego, is a former assassin for the government and everyone wants her dead. And Charlie starts to wake up, Gina Davis stripping her hair down, bleaching her hair. Great action scenes, great humour. Samuel Jackson's really, really funny. Yeah, it's just really funny. The bad guy in it, he's been in a few bits and bobs like Dickie Roberts, but he's not like a real threat in it, I don't think. Some good explosions. I mean, the stunt where they jump out the window and shoot themselves through the ice and stuff, it's really good. Brian Cox is in this as well. So yeah, just another chuck it in there. It's one of my first introductions to Samuel Jackson, I remember, really. I mean, Jurassic Park, which is going to be the next one. But I just picked up some sellotape on my feet. As I said, just remember it being dead funny. And Gina Davis as well, you know, deprived from Beetlejuice and The Fly. But yeah, next one is, I don't even know how many it is. I'm going to do Jurassic Park next and hopefully it's safe. Just a little bit safe. Gonna switch the camera off to start the next video. Jurassic Park's right next to Deep Blue Sea. That'd be dead funny if I discovered. Fuck, is hit me door. It was peacing. He didn't come in the house because of COVID, and he had the kids there. So anyway, that was who was knocking at my door. He wants his GameCube back. There you go. Tested safety. Cash converters. Range of games. Oh, it's a lot of life, isn't it? But yeah. Anyway, Jurassic Park. I don't know why it's in an orange box or look bitching in a red box, wouldn't it? I'm going to put that back before I break Power Tools. Jurassic Park, went to see it the picture 6 times when I was a kid, and now 7th going to see it with the one and only Mr. Jack with the live orchestra a couple of years ago now. I love Jurassic Park, it's amazing. Not too keen on the second one, I think the third one's better than the second one. Like Jurassic World, wasn't too keen on Fallen Kingdom when I revisited it. The coffee's got any cold in it. Yep, yes it is. So, Jurassic Park. Samuel L. Jackson, great role for Samuel L. Jackson, you know, scores a role in Steven Spielberg movie. And he basically, you know, gets himself in one of the biggest movies of the 90s. And shows he can act, you know. You know, he's Samuel L. Jackson, really good in it. You know, he delivers. He's got a lot of like computer jargon to go across. I mean, it's not too bad now. People go the interfaces and all that kinds of stuff. But when you think about in the 90s, especially like coming out the back end of the 80s, and he wants to talk about structurals and computers and all that, Samuel L. Jackson delivers in this. I mean, the film's amazing. It's stood the test of time. Still terrifying, the T-Rex. The Raptors have never looked as good in the first one. When something's really there, it's terrifying. It's like, that's a VHS. It's terrifying, you know. But it just put it in a blue screen, and it's not going to be so terrifying. But Jurassic Park, you know, it's a good film. It's brilliant. Samuel L. Jackson. I don't think he was meant to get killed. You know, the book's amazing. You read the book and you're like, wow, the book's amazing. You know, the book's like the first movie on steroids. You know, it takes a hybrid of all the elements of the free films and chucks it in one book. With the whole hand coming down there and please, you know, it's really good. John, I can't get Jurassic Park back on my dance injury. He's so quotable then. But yeah, I'm not sure. Actually, 2 seconds. Going in the other room to get 187. Never seen this on DVD. This big box VHS. When I was moving stuff, I was going, ooh, keep that out. And it looks right. So I'm probably going to watch that on VHS because I haven't seen it since. I watched it on VHS and it's an amazing movie. So that'd be good. So yes, I've winged quite a few. Jurassic Park. I'm not going to sit and watch Jurassic Park once again for this. I mean, I've seen far too many times. But yeah, see you in the next one. Samuel L. Jackson, same room. It's just now blue. It's deep blue sea blue. It's deep blue sea blue. Hello. Right, welcome back to the Samuel L. Jacksons, the good, the bad, and the what the fucks. I'm not sure how many I've done now. I'm hoping this is 10. I've set up the VHS player so I can watch 187. So maybe it's 10, maybe it's 9. But the one I've decided to watch is Die Hard with a Vengeance. I fucking love that cover. Something that's been totally lost through the evolution of DVD, Blu-ray. Hasn't hit like today 4K yet. I love the artwork. I remember sitting at Concert Pictures seeing that live when it first came out and just loving it. I'm surprised there's a 15 to be honest with you. John McTiernan returns. You know, he doesn't do the second one, but comes back for the third. Soundtrack's mint. It's a shame Die Hard vinyls haven't been released. Samuel L. Jackson's mint in this, and it's a shame Samuel L. Jackson hasn't returned in any of the sequels. I'm just started 4.0 though, because I'm a massive fan of Justified, and Timothy Olyphant is a mint bad guy for the 4th. But it's class. Starts off, you know, just like the music, the hit, bang, explosion. So much of this was filmed in New York. I love how it catches up the story. I love the reflections to the original with Hans Gruber. I think the Jeremy Irons is great in it. Samuel L. Jackson steals the show. He's so great. I mean, the profanity and stuff is mental. The only things that haven't aged well is when he gets stuck in the tunnel and surfing the truck. I think that's the only bad bit about it. But like some of the stunts, the car's going through the car park, Central Park, flying off the roof. it's just mint, and Samuel Jackson's fucking class. Like, I mean, you know what I mean. You're talking about like coming off the back end. What a big year, you know. In the day, he was still doing independent stuff. I meant, or Pulp Fiction and stuff. I'm gonna crack open this next bit. And you know, he was hitting like supporting roles in Die Hard. He's fucking class in it. So, it's great film. I love how much it's got love for New York, and it says on the box there, unmissable. John McClane is about to have a very bad day. You know, what a fucking class film, like the most underrated sequel. You know what I mean? Touchstone Home Video, X Rental, didn't rewind it. But now, when it comes to Sam Jackson, good. That's a benchmark, because again, I mean, Sam Jack does star in a few leading roles, but he's always great in supporting as well. And I think with that, the Zeus character, but hey Zeus, no, my name is Zeus. I think he's just fucking class in it. So I lost count because it's been a couple of days since I had the massive rant wallpaper in the other room. As I say, I just thought it was something handy to watch, and I've got so much love and so much good memories about Die Hard, especially with a Vengeance. What a mint name for it. I mean, if they just resurfaced them all and called Die Hard, Die Harder. Screech here. Yeah. Die Hard 2, Die Harder. You know, Die Hard with Vengeance 4.0. It's an old box set there. But yeah, I mean, that's one way to save the fifth one. Bring Sam Jackson back. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying Sam Jackson takes a paycheck. Just schedule him in. He'll be there as long as the golf course handy. So yeah, I'll be here after this next clip to either do another one or say this is the end. I've done 10. I can't remember how many I've done. Right, see you in the next bit. Ooh, here's an outtake for Samuel Jackson. Afro Samurai featuring Samuel Jackson, Kelly Who I used to live next door to, believe it or not. Ron Perlman, you know, Hellboy. And music by RZA. Wake up, Afro! It's a pretty mental game. Never even completed, like, hard. But obviously, again, going back to the whole thing, Sam Jackson's massively into samurai movies and stuff like that. He does the voice, he does like his mystery friend. His imaginary friend. It's way too early this one. But yeah, Afro Samurai. Did it.